Welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay, and this evening we're going to take a look at a little progress on the 32 four-door sedan and the brake department. So a few weeks ago we had a video go up that kind of showed how I was going to use some Wilson welding backing plates, and I bought some Buick Speedway Motors version of a Buick drum, and I was going to use original hubs, and we kind of did a trial fit to see how it was going to work, and it felt like it was going in the right direction. So I followed that trail and just kept going down the road of what do I need to do to make sure that this all works. So what is going to happen now is I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing, not not quite like the unboxings we usually do when we have a whole bunch of stuff, or we have a handful of stuff from different projects and different things, and could be almost anything. This is all focused on the front brakes of the 32. So I'm going to open it up, I'll show you what I got, and then I'm going to go trial fit some of the pieces if everything came in that I think came in, and we'll take one more look at it to see how it feels, and does it look like it's going to work, and am I moving in the right direction. So let's cut some of these boxes open. Okay, I think I'm kind of in the frame here, more or less. I'm going to open this big one first. So this is from Speedway. It just came today. It was kind of the last piece I was missing to try what I'm going to try. And I'll open it up and we'll see if what I ordered is what I got. Alright, box number 1, open. Box number 2. Let's see if there's a box number 3 or box number 2 gets us into it. Alright. So what we have here is the brand new dust cover. Can't really see it in the plastic, but take my word for it. That's what it is, brand new dust cover. And a brand new hub. So the hub is a 40 to 46 reproduction front brake hub. It is made by Speedway. It has the inner and the outer race already installed, but the version I bought does not come with bearings. So the reason, if this works out the way I hope it does, the reason that I went this way was because using these Speedway drums, I didn't feel comfortable pulling those on and pressing those onto a hub. This hub right here is an original 46 Ford, and it uses a press-on drum. So the studs, you use an arbor press to put the studs through the drum and the hub, and everything is basically unitized into a single drum. I popped it off of this because for what I was doing, I figured that's what I would have to do to get to being able to put the Buick looking drums on. The more I messed with it, the studs are a problem for these old Ford hubs. So the studs were not made to have a Buick drum thickness on top of them right here, and so you end up with a very short shank of threads for the lug nut to screw onto. So I was going to have to replace the I was gonna have to replace the studs, and yet they would probably still be made in the diameter that needs them to be pressed in. And of course they'd be pressed into the hub, but even have the drum pressed on. So the difference is this new hub uses a stud. Let's get it a little closer. A stud that has a shorter shank right there, so it doesn't require a press on of the drum. So I'll kind of show you how that works with the new drum. And they're kind of oily because they're keeping them from rusting wherever they're manufactured. You can kind of imagine where they're manufactured, but wherever. So height-wise, they're the same, so that's good. Just a quick check here. All right, so we've got a Speedway hub, and we've got a Speedway brake drum. So this is the brake drum, super cool looking steel liner inside an aluminum drum. I mean, expensive enough, but just so cool. So now let's see if these two pieces go together. I'm actually going to put that hub down, set this on top, so I have enough room, and let's see how that goes together. All right, so I'll show you what I mean. So this hub now slides right over this, and it's centered on the hub. So these were made to go with this hub. They're centered on the hub, so they're going to work perfect. No need to take this assembly down and have it turn as an assembly because it's perfectly centered. The shank is plenty long enough to put any kind of wheel on. If I put a steel wheel on, it's going to have just the right amount for the lug nut. If I put an aftermarket aluminum wheel or magnesium wheel on it, the lugs will go down inside, so it's perfect. So not only is it cool looking, but it's going to be super safe, and it gets me where I want to go as far as moving this project forward. So pretty cool. We've got brand new drums, just like you would want. It's going to look awesome. It's got brand new hubs with the right studs. If I were going to replace the studs in these, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see the studs cost me $10 to $15 a piece if I could source them and get them. So to put these particular original hubs back into service, doing what I needed to do, I was still going to probably spend $150 just in studs. So while these hubs are kind of expensive, I basically was going to be out of pocket $150 before I ever got started. So you can kind of rationalize it wasn't quite as expensive as you might think to do it this way. And if you think that I'm just justifying the expenditure, you're probably right. So now let's set you back up and let's see what else came to help make this thing work. So hang on just a minute. All right, so I'm not sure which piece is which, but I think all this stuff goes to putting the 32 front end together. This box looks like this was a kid's art project. Okay, let's open it up and we'll see if it's something good. Is it for me? Yeah, it's for me. Okay. When you buy stuff offline, boy, you never know. You never know what it's going to come packed like. It's part of the fun. All right. So we're going to have a bunch of little things like this. When I was sourcing the parts to put this together, one of the pieces that it's hard to get really good bearings that are offshored. Most of them are kind of marginal in quality, and I'm kind of finicky. I don't want to have a wheel bearing fail on my old hot rod. And it's not like you didn't pay for it. You paid the price, but they're just, the metallurgy is not as good. And quite honestly, the manufacturers don't care. So what I do, and what I did here, is I sourced as many OEM original NOS new old stock parts to put this front end together as I could. So I did the crosswalk the bearing numbers, and I have a Timken, this should be an outer wheel bearing, or it's a race. So this is a Timken race. So this race is probably manufactured, I don't know, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. It says right on it, made in USA, has the part number. This race will last for the rest of my life in this old hot rod. So this is piece one that I sourced to put this together. So that's outer race for these front hubs. One. So what you need to put this together is you need an outer race and an inner race for each hub, an outer bearing and an inner bearing for each hub, and so you need two of each to do it. Some of the parts I was able to source multiples of from one distributor, and some I ended up having to basically do it on a piece at a time. Okay, so this is a Ford box, Ford part. It's blue and white, so it's not 40s or 50s. Blue and white typically happened in the 60s and 70s. This artwork and this kind of packaging a little bit later, but it's still going to be OEM, made to their specs. What these are two inner seals. So this is seal goes on the inside after you put the inner bearing in, and keeps the grease inside. So again, just another original part. I have two of them, so we'll be able to put this bad boy together with original Ford parts. Lots of the parts that I'll use to put this together won't necessarily be Ford, original OEM Ford parts, but they'll be original OEM manufacturers of those parts. Okay, that box down. I don't know if it's as much fun to watch as it is to do, but I'm having a good time. Okay. Let's see what's in here. All right. Nice packaging. 2 Bauer BCA bearings. I'm assuming bearings. Yes, they are. So, this is the Bauer bearing. Interesting. So this is a Bauer bearing box. Bauer bought BCA, so it says Bauer / BCA, but the bearing, I'm sure you can't read it, but the bearing says Timken. So this bearing was actually manufactured by Timken. My guess is this has probably been around for a while, at least the 60s for this bearing, if not a little earlier. Although the packaging doesn't necessarily look that way, but it's probably been around for a while. So that's going to slide right in there, fit all together. Super cool, love it. I got 2, so those are the 2 bearings for the 2 hubs. As you can see, I'm starting to amass all of the pieces needed to actually assemble this front. All right. this is the other race, the inner so I have two races for the outer and two outer bearings. All right, so that's that. Now, I'm hoping that this is going to have some inner bearings in it. That's a lot of box for a couple inner bearings. I think I ordered more than that. Put the under here. Okay, so these are the inner bearings. Holy moly, these are well packed. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. This looks like they must have had more. They must have been selling these as bearing sets. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna find out. We're learning. I'm learning what they're selling me, just like you are. Okay, so oh, this is the bearing in the race. Okay, so I bought. So this is a Timken as well, all Timken. These are the inners, so we should be able to. Oh my gosh, that's heavy. So this should be. Look at that. Love it, love it, love it. Oh my god, I can feel myself motoring down the road right now. Okay, so that's an inner bearing, and what I bought. This person had a lot, not, he had a lot of bearings. He had he was selling 4, which as a lot, you bought all 4. And so I've got 4 of the bearings right there. And then I've got 4 of the races. Looks like the number's the same. The boxes are definitely boxed at different times. You can tell kind of just by the look out, but that's fine. God, I hate to even interrupt you. So these are in the wax paper. These are the Timken. I don't know if you can read that, but it's super cool. Timken inner race, made in USA. Did you love that part? So I have 4 of them, which means that I've got the inner bearings and inner races to do new bearings on the 32.5 window if you're trucking along with the different projects I have. So I've got all the bearings needed to put that front end together, and I've even got 2 sets that are for the next project down the road. So if I would have used those old hubs, which was the plan originally, and it worked out, I would have still knocked the bearings and races out of those and put these new ones in there and had everything brand new and fresh, ready to go another 200,000 miles. In this case, I will use the new hubs with these old vintage bearings. They're made for that same dimension and will do the exact same thing. So now let me get the camera set up in the other room in the shop where the 32 is, and we'll put a hub on and see how it works against that backing plate with the hub and the drum and everything in place. Here we are. So we've got new bearings. I'm just going to set them. Just going to set them in the hub for right now as we just trial fit. I'll slide that new bearing on there. Slide this bearing in. So the dimensions of this hub should be exactly the same as the original hub, even though it's aftermarket. So We'll just set it together, dry. I don't want to oil, grease, lube it because it's got to come apart 100 more times and get packed and cleaned and painted. Okay, so there's the hub. Super cool. It's on there. It turns just like it's supposed to. Now let's get a drum. Let's see if the drum goes on, which we know it will. Okay. Drum is on. It's on there just like it's supposed to. Now we'll put a wheel on. Okay. What we have now is we have a wheel, hub, drum, all the pieces needed to make this a roller on the front. Studs come through long enough for a full lug nut contact, so nice and safe. And here's what it looks like from the inside, which is super cool. So the next piece that I will do, and that's really the look. That's really the look I'm going for, is the 45 fin count brake drum and the 45 fin count backing plate. It just is so cool looking. Was it necessary? No, absolutely not. I could have used a steel backing plate, which I think I had a set, and some steel brake drums and the stock hubs, and gotten there substantially cheaper. But I wanted this look, so that's what we did, and it's going to work really good. This is a Bendix style brake, so they'll stop a little better than the original 44 backing plates would have, and that's a plus. So next thing that I'll do is I will pull this apart again, because I don't have the correct bolts holding it to the backing plate, and I want to play with the depth of that backing plate against the spindle and make sure that it's where I want it to be, because I can machine up some spacers if I want to move that backing plate out. Remember, these parts really were never made to all go together. They sort of were, but it's a trial and error and making sure that everything fits and works just like you want it to. So we're gonna keep playing with it and adjusting them. That is it for the front brakes for tonight. I'm pretty happy that I've gotten it to the point where it actually has a tire on the corner. So now we can follow through with the rest of it and get some other pieces adjusted and put the spring in next. And we'll just keep working on this front end, and I'll keep filming it. I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.